Welcome to the Beer League broadcast, your go-to podcast for everything Beer League hockey. Here we celebrate the unsung heroes of the hockey world, the weekend warriors, the midnight puck enthusiasts, and the locker room storytellers. Whether you're a grinder chasing the puck after a long workday, a goalie with more bruises than pride, or just a fan of Beer League camaraderie, this podcast is for you. From game highlights and outrageous chirps to gear talk, post-game beers, and questionable ref calls, we're bringing you the best of the barn every week. So grab a cold one, lace them up, and join us for the behind-the-scenes look at the greatest game on earth, Beer League hockey. Because here, every shift counts, even the one to the beer fridge.
All right, guys, welcome back with our buddy Tavis McPhee here. I'll let him introduce himself because, as we know with the last guest that we had on, Robbie, I mispronounced his name. I might have just mispronounced Tabs. I don't really know. We'll see. Linguistically challenged. I'm going to get fucking chirped for it for sure by the boys on the pod here. But we're doing part one here. We're doing an equipment series for beer leaguers with Tavis here. So just going to be going through different parts of equipment and like the do's and don'ts for older guys and kind of get different body sizes and different things that we need to do and look for in equipment and like fit and feel and what's coming down the pipeline. So we've got pretty good little series coming over through the first season for you guys to hit up. But without further ado, I'm going to let Tav introduce himself, give us a little background and why he's actually helping us out, why he's kind of doing this with us.
Yeah, no worries. Thanks, bud. And yeah, you did pretty good on the pronunciation. At least you didn't call me Travis like half the people that have known me for years. So it is Tavis with no R. I always chirp my dad and say, you were drunk. You were drunk in the hospital when you had to go fill out the birth certificate. You just missed the R, didn't you? Like one day he will admit it to me. I swear he'll admit it to me. But no, he says, yeah, that's the name I gave you. So Tavis with you. Yeah. And yeah, I'm just operations director for like a really large sporting goods retailer in Calgary. We're one of the largest stores in the whole country and everything. So yeah, I get to see a lot of hockey gear pass my way and been in the game for 17 years working at the store. So it's right out of university doing that. And yeah, I've kind of seen the whole progression from, Nike Bauer to Easton going bankrupt the whole way through everything. So yeah, it's just kind of cool to get the chance to talk about some of this gear and yeah, give you some insights to that stuff.
Well, and you got a background too, even further than that, like with your dad growing up kind of in a hockey family too, right?
Oh yeah, hockey was the only thing we talked about in my household. So my dad was a Swift Current Bronco in the WHL. That's kind of where he made his name. He played with Brian Trottier and Tiger Williams. And I always say my highlight of my dad is actually I think he outscored Brian Trottier for goals that year that he played with. So seeing that guy, in the top 20 all-time NHL scorers and saying my dad was kind of able to play alongside those guys and some of the highlights with Tiger and all that stuff. It was just, that was our evenings every night, was plugging in the old VHS tapes and then watching all those old highlights. And then he had a pretty good career in the IHL for a long time with Toledo Gold Diggers and everything. And yeah, it was like a perennial all-star. And I think they won 2 back-to-back championships. So it was pretty cool, like ticker tape parade videos and stuff of them lifting the cup and in the Cadillac, and everything. So yeah, it was pretty cool as a kid growing up for sure.
See that, and that's why you're kind of like, and you played. How long have you played now too? Did you play growing up too, like the rest of
Not
us?
a whole lot. Like I did play when I was like really young and everything, but then we lived in Phoenix because actually once he was done in the IHL, he got a job with the Phoenix Roadrunners. So that's where I grew up, and hockey just wasn't prevalent back then in like the early '90s kind of stuff. So I kind of got onto the ball side of things, and then I got into like a AAA level ball player, and just said, what, hockey's not going to be my priority and everything, and then picked it back up with you boys. I don't know if that was a good thing or a bad thing yet, to be determined, but no, I'm having fun, love playing the game, and yeah, it's just always good.
Nice. Okay, well let's get right into the gear because I know that's kind of why we're all listening here today. Part one here, I think part one we've talked about. We're just gonna get right into sticks or twigs, as everyone wants to call them. There's so many moving parts with these. Let's do a little history lesson. Like I remember, like we'll kind of date ourselves a little bit here, but man, I remember like the old two pieces, the Woods, Sherwoods. I still have one. So the guys harass me. I still got like the Coffee Curve 50/30 because I use it and I tell everybody, I'm like, oh, if I get pissed off, like that thing's gonna hurt more than one of these freaking composite one. When I slash you, you're gonna know because that thing's gonna hurt.
Oh yeah, there was no flex points in those bad boys. Just like a steel pipe, aluminum pipe, right? I think I picture the Mighty Ducks movie when he pulls it out of the container. It's like shing, like a sword. I was like, yeah, Yeah, the store used to be filled with those, man. It was crazy. We had the whole lane. Like we almost had more of those the shafts and the blades and everything that you could find and everything like that.
Well,
So,
do you remember heating them up?
oh
Over the
yeah,
stove, like
and people
putting
would
the
try to
blade in.
Frankenstein them, yeah, everything like that, right? Yeah, you're heating it on the red hot stove and everything, and like, yeah, it was that was a wild time. That was when they're just trying whatever they could, and I kind of miss those days though. With the way sticks break these days, I'm like, I wonder if it'll ever make a comeback. If somebody does it right and say, hey, at least you only have to replace half your thing if it breaks or whatever. But I don't think the performance is quite as good as a one piece, but
No, the way guys shoot now and like the way they use the flex of the stick to actually like hit the release points and for the torque they require, it's I don't think like you're not going to use a Wayne Gretzky Easton aluminum,
no,
and
but you could make it out of a new composite maybe or whatever. But I just look at the breakage rates of some of these things and I'm like, man, I kind of miss those days. Like when I break a $400 twig out there, I'm just like, it'd be so nice if I was just like putting a
put a
new
new
blade in. Yeah,
or the blade would just fire down the ice on you. You just go to take a shot and the blade comes out and it's gone.
yeah, exactly. Yeah. Or you feel it loose while you're puck handling. Yeah, the good old days.
So that's like a little bit of us being old now. Like those are some like Gretzky had the old aluminum. I remember those, and I actually have a stick tab that's pretty funny. When I was my first hockey game, I think it was like 11. I ever went to was Ottawa and Calgary, and Yashin was playing Alexei Yashin,
Oh yeah.
and he used to shave almost to nothing the top of the stick. Like take it and take a grinder to it and shave it. I'll have to put it on the story for you guys listening from the pod. But he almost had it so when he hooked guys, it would cut you. Like it was
Oh, it's
nasty.
like
Like
you
he had it
filed it.
shaved down. Like he had it filed down, so it was just like when he hooked you, like it was like a little razor blade. The whole top of his stick, just nasty.
That's wild. That's why all those guys are Leatherface from that day. Like that's what my dad looks like. Like he's like looks like Stan. Like his face is just looks like it's worn leather, dude. There's so many scars everywhere. But yeah, he told me all about that stuff. I didn't really believe him. I was like, yeah, dad, sure. But he's like, no, man, it was. Yeah. You see him bleeding everywhere. So yeah, it's crazy.
Yeah, just vicious some of them old blades. But for guys now playing beer league, like we're all in. Everyone uses composites. There's been a progression. Like the synergies were one of the big ones. But Easton went bankrupt, like you said, right? And
Yeah.
then so now we're going into like I mean a lot of CCMs and Bauer. Bauer's huge. But what are you recommending? What are you kind of seeing for guys like? Well, let's just kind of go through the progressions because you can spend, like we said, anywhere from 170 to fucking upwards of I don't know how much a freaking ridiculous stick is now. Like they're well over 500 bucks Canadian. So like for an average beer league guy, what are you looking at for what you think guys should be? Because everyone has a different preference on everything. So let's just kind of go through it and what are you kind of thinking for most guys?
Yeah, I gotta be careful what I say because I'm in the retail game. Like, no, I'm just kidding. But yeah, like our sticks go up to 450 bucks, and they're probably gonna keep going up as they keep releasing some of these like innovation technologies and trying like really, really innovative and crazy stuff these days. So you kind of got four big boys in the game. Like you got Bauer, CCM, True, and Warrior, and I think they're actually. If you look at NHL usage or you look around, they're all doing something really well and unique with proprietary technology to each one. And they're all kind of following the same script. You'll get one insane stick that's around that 450 mark for the year, and they're introducing some new materials like boron or actually aluminum into the composite weave now to add some durability aspects, like thin out the walls of the stick and make it a little stronger. But I think when you're searching for your stick or you're going to try it, like I think you just got to be smart about where you shop. Like it's if you're playing in a recreational league, like I don't necessarily understand the point in buying a $450 stick. And some of the guys that work for me that come back from junior A or they played in a dub for a bit or whatever, and they bring me out for one of their games, like watching them shoot, some of the pro stock sticks, which are probably half the price of a top line innovation stick. And they're just shooting these things like 90 miles an hour, 100 miles an hour. I'm looking at my shot with my 6 goals a year and my $450 stick that I get donated from Bauer or whatever. And I'm like, why do I need these things? Like so I think you got to take your time and realize that a lot of the top technology that was 6-8 years ago has now fallen down in price because stuff has surpassed it and other materials have come out and everything. But yeah, it's there's a lot of value in that, like $200 to $300 range. And the nice thing is they're not full carbon fiber sticks, so they start introducing a little bit of fiberglass to the weave, which adds durability, adds strength, and I process a lot of the warranties at the store, and you definitely see a higher breakage rate on those top tier $400 like lightweight sticks versus even that second tier or third tier stick, which is in that $200 to $300 range. So just about being smart, and maybe not thinking that the top end stick is somehow gonna score you a ton more goals or feel incredible or whatever. I mean, they definitely do, but if you're an average guy like me that's only putting in a couple of years in beer league, then yeah, just be smart with it and talk to an expert, because there's so much good stuff out there right now. It's pretty crazy.
Well, and you're getting hacked and slashed, right? So like, especially if you're a centerman, like your sticks break more, people are stepping on them. It's it's not worth the $400 or $800 if you're taking two to a game, right?
Oh yeah, like I know some midget AAA guys that are going through like 20, 30 in a year, and their parents are dropping 5, 6 grand. I'm like, why don't we talk about a little bit, the second tier one that just got a little bit of fiberglass in it. It still snaps and fires and loads, and like you can still shoot rockets with it, but it's going to handle those hacks. And especially if I was a center, like absolutely not would I be buying one of these like $450 sticks. So that's competitively playing, maybe that's a different story. But if you're average beer leaguers like us, I mean, if you got the money to spend, they're awesome to use until they break, kind of thing. But and everything comes with a 30-day warranty, so it's at least you got that safety net kind of behind it these days. But yeah, it's just there's a lot of technology even at those second and third price points. So.
What would be your go-to brand then for a guy to buy? Like, I mean, you've got CCM jet speeds up to your insane Bowers and stuff like that. So I don't know, and I don't know all the brands like you do, but there's definitely like a range of guys that like. What would you say like an average guy like? What's a good twig to buy?
Yeah, I think the jet speed, like what you referenced, is wildly popular. Like I've never really had anybody hate it or be upset by it. It's got a dual kick point, so it works well for wrist shots, slap shots, all those kind of stuff. It'll kind of activate either flex point, either at the low thing for quick release shots, like the low flex point will activate on your wrist or snapper, and then your higher flex point will activate on a big heavy slap shot. So you kind of get the big bowling effect and that like heavy, mid kick kind of slap shot stick, but it also performs like a low stick. So the jet speeds are awesome, and I think one of my favorite things about the jet speed is they do a you know, really nice line in that pro stock level, which is about $229 at retail. And they're reinforced in the corners. They're really strong. They're still the hybrid point, just like the $400 one, but just rip incredibly hard. And then I think it matters a little bit too, like your style shot, right? So there's different kick points, whether you're an in-type player, shoot wristers, or whether you're back on the point, shoot slap shots. You might want to think about, which kick point's going to kind of produce the best results for you. So not necessarily brand or price, but just, making sure you get the stick that matches your style of play, kind of thing.
I think it's something a lot of guys probably don't even think about. So a lot of guys do, but a lot of guys in beer league, they just want to stick, like they're just going to go play. But if they're not thinking about kick point or, release point, or unless they played high level, like they're just not. Like a lot of
Yeah.
guys aren't, right? You're not really
But
thinking. You're just like, I just want this thing to shoot as hard as possible, as fast as I can, because I don't want it on my stick. Go.
yeah, that's the fun of buying a good twig, right? But I think that's the point of it. Like if I look at a guy like, Big Randy there, like the way he walks over the blue line and just hits a massive clapper. I'm like, that guy needs a mid kick stick, because like he could buy a low kick stick and he's not going to experience like that rocket hard slap shot out of it necessarily. But you put a mid kick in his hands, I'm like, I'm going to duck for cover. I'm not. There's no way I'm coming anywhere close to that shot anytime. So I think just making sure you, cause that's the point of buying a good stick, is you want to like get it out on the ice and be like, holy shit, like this was a good buy. I feel good. I'm shooting hard. I feel good. But part of that is understanding like how you release the puck, what shot you lean on most, and then maybe kind of gearing your purchase towards which design kind of amplifies the best parts of your game that you go to all the time. So
And you guys do that, right? Like you can test sticks out in store, right? With you guys, you got the shooting range there, and like you'll actually walk guys through certain aspects of their shot and what kind of sticks they should be looking for.
yeah, absolutely. I honestly think that's why we became kind of one of the biggest stores in Canada. Is we were the first, at least in Calgary or Southern Alberta, to put in a full deluxe like go at your own pace shooting gallery, where you can test every curve. You can try 2 or 3 curves, try a mid kick versus a low kick, and take your time to really feel that out and understand what's going to produce the best results for you. And then people just keep coming back for more. So it's kind of cool too at our store. You can try anything that's on the shelf. So even if you want to try an innovation stick, like we don't really limit it. And people love it, eat it up, and it's awesome because you just have a security feeling when you're buying a stick. Like nothing worse than buying a $250, $300 stick and you go out and you're like, I don't like the singer now. So yeah, it's pretty clutch to have that. Yeah.
This guy right here just did it. Not impressed
Oh,
with it.
yeah.
Should
Gotta
have
cut
should have came to you a little sooner, but I was just like, I just need a backup stick here quick, and nope, I just fucking hate it. I still have my
Oh,
jet speed that I use, but my spare stick, I just needed a spare one. It's just not doesn't work for me. I just don't feel comfortable with it, and it might maybe I don't know. But I went from it's funny. So I bought another CCM. I forget the brand of what it was. I just grabbed one off the rack, and I have one of them old Sherwood one pieces. Like they're fucking heavy, right? And
oh
there's no like rubber grip. There's nothing on it. So like if you really want to move your hands and like get a hold of somebody, and then you switch to this as a spare, and you're like, this thing's such a different feel compared to what I normally use. It's not, and if you're not used to it, like even when I switch, I remember switching from my wood sticks because I got harassed so bad about using the old 5030s for because they were like $40, but you'd break some. I remember getting harassed. As soon as I switched from like wood to composite, it was took me probably 5 6 games to get comfortable shooting with it and get used to it because it's just such a different feel. So like when you're looking for a stick for feel, like if you don't have what you guys have to go test out, you can just go blow $400 and then it sucks because it just
oh
doesn't
yeah.
like it.
Yeah. Yeah, we see that with customers that have gone to other stores that don't have galleries, and then they buy the stick. They're like, dude, I definitely made a mistake. But and it's pretty cool too. I think what I've seen the trend over 15 years of selling sticks is like people have in mind like, oh, this is what I should be using, because they haven't had the time to test it. They haven't had the time to have all four curves side by side and have, no pressure on them. Just pick your target, pick your favorite zone, shoot these four brands all together. And then you see like the green light go on all the time. And a lot of people switch curves or switch flexes. Like that's a really common thing is people think everyone's like, oh, I need a 95 flex or an 85 flex and I shoot so hard. I'm like, dude, everybody in the NHL is using a 75, or like there's guys using a 70, 65. Um, so it's all about like getting the technology out of the stick. So I think, the nice part about trying it is you kind of see all those fallacies kind of go away, right? And then all of a sudden you're like, oh, I was maybe thinking the wrong way, or I thought I was a classic Sakic curve or Lindros curve, but I'm actually not. I'm like, I do better with the new age P28 or Tavares Max or whatever they are, right? So it's kind of it's good for me, and I think it's such a big purchase. It used to be, not such a big purchase with the 5030s, and I always respected you for using them. I thought you're a fucking beauty for doing that. It's still sweet style points for sure, but yeah, I just think now that it's $450, like you can't just throw away your dough like that. So might as well take the 30 minutes. It only takes maybe 15 minutes, right? Like, we talk about it, we figure out what player you are, and then we tape up the sticks you need, and everybody comes out the same way. They're like, this is the one because I hit all my targets, or it's just ripping it, right? And so yeah, it's pretty cool.
Yeah, and like so let's jump into that topic of because we just kind of passed on it, but I want to talk about like flex because like nobody guys get it and some guys don't. Like I remember my first CCM Vector. You remember those like the old Joe Thornton curve? It was my
Yeah.
very first one piece, and I think that was a 95 flex. It was just it was you didn't know how to use it properly either. But I mean, and the technology is pretty old. That's 18 years ago now. I think when that came out or more. Um, Going to that like 95, and now I'm using a 75, and it's way nicer
Oh yeah.
flex for
Yeah.
me. And I've tried 85 and kind of bounced around, but I've never really understood the differences as well as other guys might. So maybe just explain like what is it going to be, like body mass that helps, or is it shot, or like what are we looking at for like different flexes? Like what should we be looking for? Like you said, 75 standard in the show now, but
Yeah, I think all of those things that you mentioned factor into it. So, when we're fitting a kid as an example, it's the general rule is half your body weight, right? So if the kid is 120 pounds, then we get him a 60 flex. And that kind of works for adults, but there's also adults that end up shooting exceptionally hard, even though they're lighter weight kind of thing. Like there's just some guys in the NHL, same thing, that they just bear down on it. They rip it. Like Makar's not a big heavy dude, but the way that guy shoots the puck, like he needs a higher flex because he's just going to snap an 85 or he's going to snap a 75. And I don't officially know what Makar actually, does the hardest slap shot competition with, but all things factor in. So your body weight for sure, like the heavier you are and the bigger in stature you are, generally the higher flex you're going to use. But also like if you're a huge dude that doesn't have an ultra hard shot or isn't proficient at shooting, you probably want to go lower because the stick's going to help itself. And I know, like, you do some hunting and other stuff. Like it's like a bow and arrow concept, right? Like if you don't bow the stick and you don't pull it till its full tension, all the money you're spending on the technology is you're not really getting it, right? So that's the goal of it. And there's kind of a precise angle. I know CCM does a really good job in their stick lab of dialing in their stick so they end up with the proper amount of radius load on the stick to maximize like release speed and also like release velocity and also like release speed to cross the goal line first in terms of like quick release kind of idea. So yeah, generally, and I think you also got to look at, like, I think in hockey now, not so much in beer league, but the time and space is getting tighter and tighter. These guys aren't walking in doing huge clappers anymore. Like, you got to get it off quick. And that's what those lower flexes really help with. So I think I hear this story a lot, just like you, where they switch from an 85 to a 75, and all of a sudden it's like, man, I don't have to put any effort in the release, or like quick scoring chances when you don't quite have it in the right spot. That 75 just bows so quick, you can get something hot off that normally you probably would have had nothing on with a higher flex, right? So I think take your time with that one and make sure you get it right.
And then there's something to be said too, Tavis. Like, let's go back and be old again, but like IL Afraidy, remember him? IL
Yeah,
Afraidy.
I do. Yeah,
His shoot was a coho.
yeah,
He was a
Coho,
fucking
yeah.
coho wood stick, and he's shooting 106 mile an hour. You got Al McInnes, right, shooting hundreds. So there's technique, and then there's technology too, right? So like, as a beer league, I think there's going to be some balance in what you're finding. Like, the technology's so good now, and like I said, it's getting better. Where are you going to find the happy medium for a beer leaguer? Like, are you good just sticking with that, or should a guy go backwards a little bit, or, like, you know what I mean?
Well, yeah. I mean, I think the difference is release speed right now and that's the thing is, like, yeah, I don't think anybody humanly is going to be able to shoot a puck harder than 110 miles an hour like Al McInnes did or all these guys did. It's only going to it can't go that much further because we just can't swing our arms that fast. And I don't know unless I don't know what they're going to put in a stick to make it go faster. But I think the difference with the technology now is just the time it takes from you to shoot the puck to get to the goalie. And honestly, when I was struggling a little bit with scoring, I was just like, man, like, it just seems like every goalie's reading me, moving over easy. And I'm like, I need to release faster. I don't need to shoot harder. I don't need to like pick my targets better. I just need to get it off sooner. And then as soon as I started focusing on that, like, my goals actually started to climb pretty quick and everything. So I think, I think the new technology is awesome, but I think it's something to be said for, like, maybe not spending the $450. Is like a $450 stick is not going to shoot any faster than a $300 stick, or really like a $250 stick. It might release a little bit faster, but it's not going to shoot any hard. So yeah, it's just a matter of like finding that sweet spot where you're not
Well, I
breaking
think
the budget. Yeah.
you think you might piss the weirdos in net off a little bit. Fucking goalies, if you start getting it over that 105, 106, that, I don't know, like, if they hit a soft spot between the pads or something, or ring them off the freaking melon, you might have a few goalies that are a little bit more hot than normal.
Yeah. Randy would know better than me on that one. Yeah,
or
but
Beatty.
yeah,
Tyler knows. You get rung. He took one. He's still got a bruise. He took one right off the inside of the arm, and brand new chesty, and it just found a soft spot. And the guy had a decent shot, but it just got him right on the inside of the arm, just kind of up underneath. And he's like, I don't know. Like, if they start shooting harder, I don't know if they can make the goalie gear any more freaking Michelin man out there. Like, it's pretty pretty impressive what they got for protection, right? So yeah, I don't think,
yeah.
as a beer league goalie, you definitely get hit in the head so many freaking times. You don't want to shoot any harder.
No, absolutely not. I would never play goalie in beer league. Like, those guys are lunatics. I don't get it.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So, what's some of the new tech we were talking a little bit off air, but what's some of the new tech coming? We were talking about, they're putting aluminum, you said, into some of the new ones just for strength, because like durability is going to be a major concern moving forward for price point. Like, no problem dropping $500 on a stick if it's going to last me 2 seasons. Not good on the marketing side if you're selling twigs, like on the business side, but if you can make it durable a little bit longer, I would spend more for it to last longer for sure, right? Like, just being playing quite a bit lately, and we all kind of don't want to spend as much on every year, and our wives kind of give us shit every time we have to go buy new twigs.
Yeah.
So
Mine too. She does the math. She's like, you got a $400 twig and you score 8 goals a year. She's like, that math don't add up.
it's $50 a goal right there.
So yeah, yeah, I think I almost forgot the question there. Sorry, dude.
But yeah, no, it's just what kind of new tech's coming out. Like, we're just kind
Oh
of
yeah,
thinking.
yeah, yeah. So Yeah, I just got back from Nashville at Bower World, and that was a hell of a trip, dude. That was crazy to see everything that they have cooking up. But I think you kind of got to look at like the evolution of what happened with sticks and everything. And I think, when composite got introduced, there was like this race to make the lightest weight stick. CCM did the U Plus Pro incredibly light, and then Bower's like, we got to make a lighter one. We got to make a lighter one. And they went to like a pure carbon fiber for a little while. And not that it's bad or good, I guess, but the pure carbon fiber sticks, like if you catch a puck or you catch a slash, there's no reinforcement material to make them last. It's just a really thin ball that can crack, and then you put your weight down and the whole thing flows up. So I think that was kind of like, all through the 2000s and 2010 kind of era and stuff. And then what they started realizing, like, yeah, people are upset with this breakage rate. So, and people might not believe me, but the companies are dedicating themselves towards more durability. And I see a common story with most of them is they're introducing like a metal weave, whether it's boron fiber in the Bower sticks or it's aluminum and CCM and Warrior and True kind of thing. But basically what they're doing is instead of just doing pure carbon fiber, they're weaving aluminum strands and boron metal strands in between the fibers so that even if there's some crackage and breakage in the carbon, the aluminum layer will hold it together from snapping and blowing up kind of thing. So I'm excited to see that for a while because there's nothing worse than selling twigs to your buddies or whoever, and they're coming back the next day, like very next day, it's like what the hell, right? But I mean, people got to realize hockey has big impacts, like whether you're blocking a shot, it can just be a glance in or whatever, right? So it can happen quick. So
Yeah, they break. That's just, I mean, there's a lot of torque going on them and a lot of different, people fall on them. It's just anything can happen. So like you're gonna break them, but if there's the durability, like it was the synergies that really started breaking. Like you remember watching in the games in the show, and it was just like the synergies were one of the ones that you're like, man, they break a lot out there.
yeah, yeah. Well, Ovi's pretty famous for saying as soon as he takes a shot. So here's Ovi's saying, he basically says he's never broken a shot on the very first time he shot because the puck has no impacts to it. He has nothing. So when he gets slashed in a game or he takes a heavy slap shot, he actually swaps out his stick on the bench. And I heard he goes through like a dozen in a game kind of thing because if he gets that goal scoring chance, he can't have the stick to break, right? He's hopefully going to break the all time record, or I don't know if everybody agrees with that, but he's right there, right, with the great one. And I think that concept makes sense to me because I'm like, your stick is strong as long as it doesn't take a puck impact or a slash, and that's really what ultimately causes the break, right? But yeah, that's why choosing your price point, getting that right, is probably pretty important for the beer league guy. Just making sure your wife's not getting mad at you and giving you shit for blowing up sticks all the time. But still doesn't stop most of my buddies.
Nah, never stop us from. We always it's the new shiny object syndrome. We all love to. It's like what's new? What can we spend our money on and not say anything for a few weeks. It's like golf. It's one of those bad habits where you got to get new clubs every once in a while.
Yeah, yeah.
So what's your take on a couple of these? There's a couple of new brands coming out. One that I was just kind of creeping at was Swift. Have you kind of seen them kicking around, or what's your take on some of these? Like they're kind of pushing for like a lower price point stick. I don't know how durable or I don't know what the testing is on those or anything like that. But what's your take on some of these brands coming out, newer hockey brands that are trying to break into the market in that kind of realm?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's going to be tough sledding for sure. I mean, I think I hope they do well, and I hope it's good technology that makes the players feel good about their purchase and everything. But I mean, we see lots of these brands pop up, come and go. There was Tovey blades. I don't like Tovey sticks. I don't remember if you saw those with the little hash pattern in their blade and everything like that. They had a few NHL guys testing and everything. And I think the problem is to get the economy of scale like Bower, CCM, True, and Warrior have to produce mass amounts of stick at a value for it. It's typically like they feel great on their own, and I'm not saying they wouldn't perform the way you want to or it wouldn't be a wise purchase to do it. But when you put them aside the same price point of some of the big boys, you pick them up and you kind of and like if you put them in a gallery too, you might spot a difference with some of them. And I have seen like a couple really really nice versions of those like generic blackout sticks or whiteout sticks, and they come straight from China. They're unbranded, so they save a little bit of money that way. But they don't come with warranty generally. Those brands, they're kind of like a pro stock thing where they don't have warranty. But I think it's a growing trend, and I think we've considered putting a rack of it in the store. But I'm kind of holding my breath to see how the dust settles and see which one ends up producing the best stick at the best price and that the consumers fall in love with, and then I'll probably pull the trigger and maybe offer it in the store. So
Well, yeah, for you from a business side looking at it too, right? You're looking is it going to sell and do people like it? And if I order in X amount of sticks, are they actually going to go off the shelf? And you know what I mean? Like, because you're going to have dead stock there and you don't really want that if they don't sell. So,
Yeah, exactly. Well, and it's like, live example for me was it's kind of cool at these trade shows we go to because they have mile per hour. Like they have shooting galleries set up. You can test all the brands against each other. We even go on ice for some of them. Um, and like sometimes when you shoot that $200 generic stick or $250 generic stick, whatever they put it at, it feels great. You're kind of shooting it. And you're like, yeah, like I could play with it, and I definitely could. And for the schmuck that I am, it would definitely work. But then all of a sudden you pick up the same price in a Bauer, and all of a sudden you see, like my mile per hour is and it's kind of 20 grams lighter, and it comes with a 30-day warranty and stuff. So I think, if you find one that you love and you're playing good and you're not breaking it all the time, then that's the winning recipe, right? Stick with it if you're happy.
makes sense. And then just I want to touch on one other thing before we kind of wrap up here, buddy, on part one here. What's cutting? So, a lot of guys will cut down their one pieces to kind of adjust the flex too, right? Do you recommend that? Like, I've heard some good things about guys cutting down 85s to get down to like 82s or 78s. They say roughly, and I don't know how they're doing the math on it. To me, it's like I'm just like I'm sure it's bullshit that you're giving me those numbers, but because it's not tested, like how much flex per inch are we getting here? Like, what are we talking about?
Well, they're doing the math backwards. So it actually, well, I don't know if that was right that you said, but it actually gets stiffer the more you cut off of it. So it's no different than a plank of wood. Like the shorter you cut a plank of wood, the
Yeah.
stronger it is, right? The less it will bow, the less it will kind of. So that's how it gets a flex rating. A flex rating actually is interesting. Not a lot of people know what it is, but when a stick gets finalized, it gets put tip to tip on two pedestals at the factory, and however many psi, like pounds of pressure it takes to flex the stick 1 inch, is how it gets its number. And that's why you see sometimes Bowers are like 87 instead of 85, or like, Warrior has 63s, like because it actually took 3 pounds extra PSI to flex the stick 1 inch. And then what happens is, yeah, kind of every inch or two that you cut off the stick, it just gets marginally stiffer. So I kind of say if you cut off a hand size, you're probably going up about 5 points maybe in flex is the guess there.
Well, I was just being a dick about the math, though. I was just harassing guys because they're always talking about it. I'm like, yeah, dude, I'm not cutting this down to. I'm not fucking working like that. I'm a beer leaguer. I know play junior. Like, I don't give a shit if this thing, like, as long as I can shoot the puck and stick handle with it, and it's not like above my nose and I look stupid, I'm good. Like,
Well, I don't get that concept because yeah, like you gotta put the blade where it matches your release height, your stance, and like where you're not heel high or your toes not up, like so you can catch passes flush, and like it actually lines up with where your slap shot goes. Like I would never cut a stick to change the flex point. I cut my stick so that it sits where I need you to rip the puck and grab a pass, like so it sits flush on the ice and makes sense. So yeah, I don't know. But
why we
it
used
does.
to have plugs in our sticks, boys and girls, for listening right now, so we could adjust the height. Just right under the chin on skates. That's the perfect one for me. I loved it.
Yeah, exactly. That's what I like too. I'm with you.
Is there anything else that you want to do a shout out? Anything kind of coming up at the stores? The guys who are listening can pop in, maybe check out. Is there any twigs that are coming up on sale, or like some twigs you want to sell? That some guys can pick up.
Oh yeah, yeah. So I guess I did mention the story. I mean, it's probably no secret for any of your listeners. Most of them have met me or run across me. But yeah, I'm at Adrenaline Sorcerer Sports. So we got two locations in Calgary, and we have a massive sales stick rack. Like, dude, it's hard to keep the level of inventory that we do. Like, we stock the most sticks in the city. It's phenomenal to see our stick rack. It's miles long. It's actually scary how long it is. But part of that recipe means that when a stick is getting close to end of life cycle, we got to move it out immediately. So if you do want some high end technology, and that's our focus because we are definitely a high end retailer. We have all the price points, but that's what you find in our sales stick rack is probably bigger than most other stores stick racks kind of thing. So when you look at it, you can find some incredible technology just from a year ago or 6 months ago. That just you can get at a couple $100 off or whatever, and save yourself some dough and then feel really good about your purchase. So definitely I say that's a good rack to look at every time you come in. Like, even me, like I don't, I'll buy something new or sometimes I get a demo from the company, but when I spot something good on that rack, I'll even snag it for myself and just because there's so much value in that kind of stuff. So yeah, just pop on by to Adrenaline and come shoot the shit with the boys, and we always have a good time, and it's just like talking like this. So
Well, I can go test out a couple sticks. You can go actually see if they work for you.
yeah, take your time in the gallery, have some fun, and yeah, it's a good time for sure.
Okay, well, I appreciate you coming on, Tavis. As always, guys, we'll be getting back to the show here, and go check out Adrenaline Source for Sports, and I'll throw the link up for everybody in the show notes here.
All
Okay,
right.
thanks, Tab.
Thanks for having me, Clint. Yeah, go Moose Knuckles.
That wraps up this episode of the Beer League broadcast. Thank you for listening, and don't forget to like, share, and subscribe.